So today we're going to get that carburetor off there. That thing is absolutely stuck, won't move, and we're going to rip it off. And I've got a carburetor that might be a little bit better, or it might not. I really don't know. We'll find out though. Now remember, this thing hasn't been on the road since '91. It's almost 30 years. But look at this. I got the Suburban hooked up to it. The light comes on. The wipers even did something earlier. Now they're not. Oh, that's the lights. Wipers. Look at that. Dome light works. Starter doesn't though. Just spinning. The Bendix isn't engaging. So we're going to beat the snot out of it and see what happens. Well, the starter's just spinning and we got a bunch of rust to fix on this front clip anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and rip this front clip off. Now, if you haven't taken one of these off before, there is a bolt on the bottom of the fender down here. There's one that goes through the door pocket on the inside there. 2 bolts here. You also have a rubber strap down here against the firewall. There are 2 bolts that come down through here. You also have to take your bumper off. And these rivets right here, you have to grind or cut them off. These bumper brackets are garbage anyway, so we just cut them. Now your front end's loose, ready to come off. You can leave your radiator in. Don't forget to disconnect your hoses, as we have carefully done with the Sawzall, and unplug your wiring harnesses. They're really nice. They just plug into the firewall right there. And disconnect your brake cable right there. And the front clip is gone. Now it's gonna be a lot easier to get to some things on here while we're doing this. Let's do a little starter tech, especially with this Y-block starter for the 64, because this is a little strange and it works kind of almost backwards from a normal starter. Right off the bat, you can see this starter is a little bit different than your typical starter. Now, a normal starter is going to have a nose cone that comes over this area here, and your gear, this mechanism won't even exist. But Y-blocks are kind of like a tractor starter. Now, this is one of the 12-volt options because it did come off a 64. In the late 50s, they switched from 6 to 12-volt. The back of the starter looks just like any other starter. You've got your stud where your positive cable attaches. And you can see I took the cover off so you can see inside the starter there. And it looks awful, but we're going to try using it anyway. So a Y-block starter is also different, a pretty unique way, whereas the gear doesn't engage by pushing out. This actually engages the flywheel by sucking the gear in to engage the flywheel. And when you achieve the right RPM speed, it'll kick it back out. And if you look closer, you can see how it's got this spiral design here. That actually is what that rides on. Pretty unique setup. They're kind of expensive to replace. There's not a lot of places around anymore that rebuild these things. We do have one here, local in Raleigh, actually 2 if I'm not mistaken, that rebuild these type of things, but the cost is also not inexpensive either. There are upgrades for the Y-block starters. You can get through Speedway and a couple other companies where they look more like a modern reduced torque drive starter. But all in all, you can save these. We're going to try to save this one. It's actually stuck in the engaged position, and you can't just pop them out. So what we're going to do is it's going to sound ridiculous, but we're going to hope it's going to work. We're going to actually bolt it onto the truck, and we're going to spin it over and see if, while it's engaged, it'll kick out. Hopefully it will. If not, we'll take it back off and see if we can fix it, but let's find out. Look at that. We got a new starter. So we had a hell of a time getting this Bendix off. I don't know if we did it the right way, but yeah, we got it in there. We'll see if it works. Well, kind of a fail. So the starter's on. It works great. It spins the engine over. Bendix engages no problem, but the engine's dragging and turning over very slow, even with a nice full charge on it. So more than likely there's a mechanical failure in the engine that is causing it to drag and not being able to spin over freely. We can keep messing with it and trying to get it to go, but honestly, we're going to look at tearing this engine apart and having to rebuild stuff. Might as well start looking for a donor. Well, I abandoned the center console idea on the Shoebox right now because I cut out a piece and it looked like shit. I don't know a better way to put that. It looked absolutely awful. So we're just going to use this panel right here for our 4 gauges and our 2 valves. We're going to bead roll it, and then we are going to install it vertically in the dash for now and make some sides for it. And hopefully it's better. Now let's move on to some side panels. So we're going to make them, they're going to kind of go down like that. We've got the 2 cut out, and we've got our lines drawn out for our bead rolls, symmetrical, nice and even. This will help stiffen them up, and it's a little more aesthetically pleasing. So we'll get those rolled out, tacked onto that, and we'll test fit it and see how everything looks. And we are getting there. We got our 4 holes drilled for our gauges, cut out for our valves. We got a bead roll all the way around, nice and even. We'll go ahead and finish this out and then maybe spray a little bit of paint on it to keep it from rusting. There you go, all done. We're gonna get it wired up and installed and plumbed, ready to go. The bead rolls turned out good. Make it nice and stiff on the side. A little bit of a run in the paint there, don't mind me. We'll get that fixed later. But overall, pretty happy with it. It's looking cool. We got the gauges all done in the Shoebox. Let's check it out. As you can see, we've got our box in with our 4 gauges. We had to move the radio up a little bit. We also had to move the blower switch right here. Well, you can't really see. There you go. But this gives us individual control over all 4. Typically with a 2-link, you don't need this, but my frame is bent to hell, and I actually needed it. So it's cheaper than putting a frame under it. So we're just going to compensate with airbags, whatever. Not the right way to do it, but this is my beater, so I'm really not concerned about this being super nice. But it works, right? That's going to wrap up everything for today. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to check us out on social media. Like, subscribe on the YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments about anything that we've done today or anything we've done in the past, please email us at greasyboycustoms@gmail.com. Hope to see you guys soon. Happy hot rodding.